Hi, my name's Chief. Sorry my output slowed down this year. It wasn't for any good reason, this year has just been a trial for my self-confidence. I'm not quitting anytime soon, I sincerely enjoy thinking and talking about games, I never laugh harder than when I'm editing these videos, and I really appreciate everyone who comments and watches. Everyone has been really nice to me, which is a huge surprise, but if you've ever thought about leaving a comment about how I got a detail wrong, or I'm a moron who doesn't actually like video games, please do so. I like to be challenged by others. And the worst thing I could do to you is post your comment privately and make fun of you with my friends. Okay, it's time for the list. Bye-bye! MGS Triangle. Metal Gear Solid 3 was already the best game ever, so obviously this one is too. The separation of gameplay styles was a stroke of genius that mostly preserves the original Snake Eater while modernizing the Subsistence re-release. The MGS push from Konami over the past 2 years has me worried that they're going to crap out a sequel, but I don't think they're confident in their team's ability to build on Metal Gear's gameplay systems. Triangle is a beat-for-beat remake of Snake Eater with any changes being additive instead of alterations. Not that we need a new Metal Gear, I'd prefer the series died and new stealth games come out instead. I give the rats a 4 out of 10. They're fairly plentiful, but they don't heal much stamina, and they don't have fun side effects like frogs or mushrooms. Pipistrello and the Cursed Yo-Yo. A top-down action-adventure that expertly mixes Zelda-style layouts and combat with Metroid progression and movement. The art style is adorable, and the Brazilian cultural touches add a lot to the atmosphere. The platforming feels challenging without ever crossing into sicko territory. Even the optional stuff that requires the player to get out of bounds functions more of a showcase of the cool shit you get just for getting out of bounds in the first place. A lot of which is labeled as cheater gear because it explicitly overturns the game's natural balance. And even then, there's so much shit to do in the world that pieces of cheater gear still get their own sections to shine. The aesthetics, sound, level design, and movement of Pipistrello all come together to make a unique experience in an oversaturated genre. Pipistrello is actually an Italian word meaning rat with wings, but the animalism of the characters isn't really all that important to the game. 2 out of 10. Hollow Knight Silksong, or Ksong for short, is a Vania by the same team as Hollow Knight, but you already know that if you're watching a top 10 GOTY video in current year. Ksong is an improvement on the original in just about every way, from more engaging characters to tighter combat to more interesting movement abilities to facilitate more complex platforming. Casuals got really mad over the game's expectation that the player will pay attention to it, but frankly the game's difficulty isn't worth getting upset over. I think the backlash over Radahn and Elden Ring, twice, might have given people the impression that they have carte blanche to treat difficult encounter or enemy design like a mistake on the dev's part, but every enemy in Ksong can be easily dealt with using the default moveset plus whatever movement upgrades are available at the time. I wasn't above raging in my playthrough, but the only times I got truly mad were against the last judge, who was the 3rd best boss in the game, and during an optional platforming challenge. Bilewater is fine. In conclusion, Ksong is easier than replacing your kitchen counter and cabinets. All the characters are bugs, and without any rats, Ksong is banned from GOTY 2025. Metro Gravity, a rhythm-action, gravity puzzle platformer by Marco Game Dev about dream logic and Sekiro parries. Everyone in the game is trapped in a semi-personalized dreamscape to overcome regret, and in order to escape, Stephanie will have to kick a bunch of ass and solve a bunch of puzzles on her way to beating all the bosses and triggering the final boss, where Stephanie's regret is revealed and then promptly solved. It's good. The only rat is Stephanie herself for what she did to her brother, and without any rodents, Metro Gravity is banned from GOTY 2025. Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii. A full-size sequel to Crazy Eats, and it comes with a free Like a Dragon? The combo game is a little disappointing given its prominence in the marketing, but it's still a solid RGG with a fun new game mode that they're never ever going to bring back in a sequel. No rats. Banned. Squeakross Home Squeak Home, a Picross game about gay rats. Every nonogram solved gives you more furniture and clothing for your rat in its enclosure. The decoration aspect was pretty fun for a bit, but I got absorbed by the puzzles, either because it's a fun logic exercise to watch videos with, or because I was just waiting for the other suit to drop on the homemaking, which it never did. I give the rat an 8 out of 10. You can customize it and decorate its enclosure, but you never get more rats to rat with it. Metaphor Refantasio. I know this game came out last year, but it's a long game and I couldn't find time to play more new games in between 400 hours of Elden Ring. Metaphor is the job system SMT. Instead of commanding demons to fight on your behalf, your party members channel archetypes. Representations of literal archetypal heroes from the stories and legends that exist in our world. The story of Metaphor touches on the value fiction brings to people as a way of sharing thoughts, as a beacon of hope, as escapism, and takes care to say that escapism is nice sometimes, but you'll have to face reality at some point. Overall, I really enjoyed the combat design. I feel like I learned a lot more about SMT's mechanics and expectations in a subgenre I tend to enjoy more than creature collectors. It helps that the characters are generally more engaging than in Persona 5, even if the bar is low. I hated the real-time combat. It lacks any of the depth of the more traditional system, and I'm forced to engage with it because it's the only way to enter combat with advantage. In a sequel, my only wish is either improved real-time combat or, ideally, the removal of real-time combat. Heismay is some kind of fantastical rat with wings. He's a great party member to the extent I didn't feel too strong a need to swap him out of his job line, but that complacency meant he wasn't as rounded as the rest of my party, especially members whose primary jobs have great coverage naturally. 7 out of 10. Fish Fear Me, a roguelite by Heather Flowers about fighting sea creatures and pacing yourself. Everyone understands the Vampire Survivors loop at this point. Run around, pick your weapons, let the game fight for you, whatever. Where Fish Fear Me and its prequel Snake Farm stand out is how its enemy spawns work. Control over fish spawns is given to the player and it's up to them to determine how much they can handle at a given time. In Snake Farm, you purchase new snakes every day to fight against, and each sequential day stacks more and more snakes. Fish Fear Me twists the system by allowing the player to buy stronger baits, and using bait will cause fish to spawn from a leveled list based on the biome you're in. The more you challenge yourself, the more gold you get, the better armaments you can fasten to your ship, or whale, or diving suit, the higher quality bait you'll need to stock to grow your wealth even faster. To spice up the loop, each biome and each map has myriad fishes. Weather conditions can affect leveled lists, some biomes have champion zones that spawn buffed fish, and there's like 25 different ships with unique stats to choose from. There's a lot of shit to do here, with more content updates seemingly on the way. Just recently, the Women Want Me expansion released and added new ships, weapons, and a real live woman. I didn't see any rodent-based fish, and even if I did, they would be fish first and rodents second. Without any rats, Fish Fear Me is banned from GOTY 2025. Pokemon Lazarus. Pokemon Lazarus is a total overhaul ROM hack of Emerald that takes place in the Greece-inspired region of Ilios, which shares similarities with Hoenn but features its own unique dex of roughly 400 mons. The national dex seems to be missing, which might have been disappointing if the developer Nemo didn't have impeccable taste. My personal son Dunsparce doesn't seem to be in here, but that's okay. He deserves a break. If you've played Pokemon, you know what to expect here. Explore the region, abduct animals, challenge gyms, fight the evil team, you know. Lazarus' most outstanding aspect is its sense of place. Nemo takes a lot of care to make Ilios feel like a living world where Pokemon coexist. There's a variety of rodents and vermin to add to your team, but I didn't use any this time. I kinda fucking hate Pikachu and its clones. My favorite rodent is Cyndaquil. 3 out of 10. Angeline Era, a bump/action RPG by Analgesic about dreams, responsibility, and secrets. Tetsu Kinoshita has been called to the continent of Era by an angel who's given him the mission of exploring Era, discovering its secrets, and finding the Baicones necessary to speak to the throne fallen from heaven on behalf of the world's fallen angels. Along the way, Tetsu will bump into enemies, speak to the local freaks, get a good night's sleep, and walk into every wall possible to decode Era and its people. The bump/combat is simple on its surface, but the variety in enemy and encounter design brings a lot of depth to the system. Tetsu is a great protagonist with a lot going on. There aren't many video game characters whose faith is so critical to the core of their personality without being their only character trait. Tetsu's Christianity is presented matter-of-factly as an aspect of Tetsu, and you can see how deeply it affects his thinking. When he had a bad trip and then bashfully declined skinny dipping, I felt seen in an ugly way. Angeline isn't the most fun I had playing games in 2025, that would be Ocarina of Time and a multi-world, but it's my game of the year for its fascination with bygone mechanics, the depths of his secrets, and the bizarre vibes. Analgesic loves to interrogate escapism, so the ending pulls a wild turn and feels hollow in a way that critiques Tetsu's blind faith, and traditional narratives, and the nuclear family is an extension of that. There's a lot of the game I haven't seen, so I'm having difficulty keeping it all in my head and forming the connections that make it all make sense. I liked this game a lot on my first playthrough, and I think I'm gonna love it even more when I replay it. No rats, but these goats are kinda cool. 3 out of 10.